Tessa and I met during a mutual friend's karaoke night. She picked an indie ballad no one else dared to butcher, hit every note, then shrugged like it was nothing. That shrug hooked me. 3 years later, I still believed that nonchalance meant confidence, not distance. We'd built our little rituals: Wednesday dumpling runs, Sunday crossword races, and a shared Spotify playlist that was half my moody rock, half her disco-era funk. So when she dropped the Seattle news, I didn't flinch. Over takeout pad thai, she said, "My old grad school mentor is hosting an industry summit. Consulting, strategy stuff. He wants me there." I knew the name. Dr. Clarence Vaughn, the professor who wrote her recommendation letters and later spun a boutique firm out of a university grant. She'd always said he was the first to see her talent beyond grades. I nodded, proud that she was finally getting a foot in the door she'd talked about for months. The next week, though, the details shifted. Halfway through dinner, 2 plates of penne alla vodka balanced on the couch cushions. She mentioned the hotel. "We'll be in a suite to save budget," she said, eyes on the TV. The fork stopped halfway to my mouth. "In the same room?" I tried to keep my tone neutral, just requesting clarification. "It's a 2-bedroom suite," she replied, placing her plate on the coffee table. "He's practically family. Don't be weird." That word weird landed harder than I expected. I'm not a jealous man. Jealous people scour phones and sniff clothing. I trusted her. I also trusted plain arithmetic. Late nights plus shared lodging equals opportunities for awkwardness, if not temptation. Still, I let it ride for the moment, aware that first impressions of distrust can grow into arguments no one wins. A few days later, over homemade tacos, I tried again. "You didn't tell me you'd applied for anything with this firm. Was that on purpose?" She wiped salsa from her lip and sighed. "Because I knew you'd get paranoid about the power dynamic. Clarence thinks I could headline a small workshop, maybe even craft a pitch deck for his new client." "Isn't that amazing?" "It is," I said. "It's just fast. That's all." Her expression cooled, but she held her voice steady. "You're projecting insecurity on my ambition. I'm not asking for permission. I'm informing you." We finished eating in near silence. 2 people at the same table, suddenly in different climates. Afterward, she streamed a podcast and I stacked dishes louder than necessary. The clang of porcelain, a failed Morse code for "Can we please talk this through?" That night in bed, the room felt divided down the middle. She turned away first, scrolling her phone. I stared at the ceiling where our glow-in-the-dark planet stickers formed constellations we once named after inside jokes. Orion's belt now looked like 3 accusatory dots. Morning came with practiced calm. Coffee brewing, shared sync time, a quick kiss on the cheek. Yet under the routine hummed a new frequency, a mild static neither of us knew how to tune out. At work, I kept glancing at my calendar, counting down to the summit weekend and our own anniversary, which I'd planned to celebrate with a surprise cabin getaway. The reservation email sat unread in a private folder labeled "Just Us." That evening, she texted a photo of her boarding pass. "Mentor booked my flight. Seat 12A. Manifesting great things." I heart reacted, then closed the thread. I didn't feel angry. I felt drafted into a game whose rules were still being written. Quietly, I opened the cabin reservation, hovered over cancel, and wondered when shared dreams start tearing at their seams, at the first stitch of doubt or the last. The conversation we didn't have that night hung around like smoke. No confrontation, no closure, just silence that was getting harder to ignore. The next morning, I sat at my desk staring at the booking confirmation for the anniversary trip. I'd found this cozy lakeside cabin, tucked just far enough outside the city to feel like a break from everything, but close enough we wouldn't be totally off-grid. Fire pit, private dock, homemade cinnamon rolls delivered by the host. She would have loved it, or at least, the version of her I used to know would have. I canceled it, got a partial refund. Didn't even feel like a loss, just subtraction. Then came the email, just a short note to her boss. Well, technically her mentor, but by the way she'd been talking about him lately, the line between personal and professional seemed blurrier than ever. "Hi, Clarence. Just wanted to say thank you for offering Tessa this opportunity. She hasn't shared much, but I know she's excited. Appreciate you believing in her. Best, Mark." No passive aggression, no digs, just facts. Let him know someone was paying attention. That evening, she walked in like nothing had changed. She was practically glowing, humming something under her breath as she kicked off her heels and dropped a tote bag by the door. "Guess who just got her first official speaking slot?" She grinned. "Only 10 minutes, but still. I'm on the damn schedule, babe." "That's great," I said, not looking up from the couch. "Hope it's everything you want it to be." She didn't catch the shift in tone. Or maybe she did and ignored it. She sat beside me, scrolling her phone, showing me photos of outfits she was thinking about packing. Sequins, heels, blazers, her power looks. "I want to look confident, you know," she said. "First impressions and all." I nodded. Of course. Later, I washed the dishes while she posted on Twitter. I saw the glow of her screen in the reflection of the kitchen window. She was typing quickly, laughing to herself. I didn't ask what it was about. A few hours later, I saw it. Ladies, if your man gets jealous of your career moves, he's not your partner. He's your prison. She didn't tag me. Didn't need to. I was the only man she lived with. The only one who'd voiced concern this week. And suddenly, I was the metaphor for toxic masculinity in her curated feminist arc. The tweet exploded. Hundreds of retweets. Replies like, "YS Queen," and "Leave him sis," and "Men can't handle powerful women." I read every single one. I didn't respond. Didn't confront her. I just sat there, watching her scroll through the validation like a performer checking reviews after opening night. That's when it hit me. She didn't want a conversation. She wanted a stage. And I had quietly become the antagonist in a story she was writing for strangers online. That night, while she slept beside me, peacefully, like someone who believes they've won, I opened my contacts and swapped her out as my emergency contact. Nate, my cousin, was always reliable. I deleted our shared calendar. Opened a suitcase. Just a few clothes. Enough to get by for a while. The apartment felt unfamiliar already, like I'd overstayed in someone else's space. I wasn't angry. I was done. She flew out on a Friday morning. I offered to drive her to the airport, because that's what a supportive partner does, right? She was wearing that navy blazer she once called her, business, outfit, dragging her carry-on behind her with practiced ease. The car ride was short. She talked most of the way about logistics, panels, coffee meetups. I nodded along, though my eyes were on the road, my thoughts miles ahead. When we pulled up to departures, she leaned in for a goodbye kiss. I turned slightly and gave her a firm, "Take care." That was it. No hug. No warmth. Just a closing phrase you'd say to a coworker or a neighbor, not someone you've loved for 3 years. She looked at me for a second. Confused, maybe. Or trying to read if I was upset. I didn't give her much to work with. "Wish me luck," she said, forcing a smile. "You don't need luck, Tess. You've got everything you wanted." She hesitated, but only for a second, then turned and wheeled her suitcase into the terminal without another word. The rest of that weekend was quiet. I turned my phone face down, ignored the buzzes and rings. No texts, no calls answered. I stayed at my brother's, spent time playing cards with his kids and helping him with a garage shelf he'd been putting off. It was grounding, normal, uncomplicated. By Sunday night, she was calling constantly. Voicemails. "Hey, are you okay? I haven't heard from you. Can we talk? I miss you." I didn't answer, not out of pettiness, but because I didn't owe her a reaction to a decision she'd already made, publicly. Monday morning, I went back to our apartment for the last time, just to grab the rest of my stuff. A duffel bag, a box labeled memories I shouldn't have ignored, old ticket stubs, a note she'd once written on a napkin, a framed photo from a trip where I now realized she looked distant in ways I brushed off back then. She walked in just as I was heading out. Her eyes widened. "Wait, what's going on?" I stood still, duffel on my shoulder, box in my arms. "I'm leaving." "What? What? You said I was your prison. I'm just giving you the freedom you wanted." She blinked, then laughed, nervous, unsure. "You saw the tweet? Mark, come on. That wasn't about you. It was just venting. Funny. You didn't tag me, but somehow everyone knew exactly who you meant." She stepped closer. "It was just a moment. I didn't think. That's the problem. You weren't trying to think through this. You were trying to win. You posted about me, our relationship, to a bunch of strangers. And you expected applause. I was frustrated. I didn't mean it like that. But you said it. And now it's out there. And what's worse, you meant it enough in the moment to hit post." Her voice cracked. "So you're just walking away?" "No. I walked away when you made this about your image instead of our relationship. This is just me taking my things." I left. No dramatic final scene. No screaming match. Just the soft click of the door behind me. A week later, a mutual friend told me her boss had seen the tweet. So had her team. The mentorship was quietly canceled. Apparently, he didn't like being dragged into personal drama, especially not on a public platform. She wanted to prove she didn't need permission. Now she doesn't have anyone giving her opportunity, either. Funny how that works. So, what would you have done in my place? Was I too calm about it? Or too quiet for too long? I keep asking myself if silence was the right response, but maybe, in the end, it said everything louder than words ever could.